Last Pint Productions presents The New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, including Australian movies, dead ex-girlfriend cockblocking, and young Charlie Sheen. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, still way to Crawford down?
Uh-huh. It's a little ways up, and then you take the Willow River cutoff.
Thanks.
Hey, wait! Are you new in town?
Yeah,
Hey, I'll show you the way.
hop on.
Okay.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hey, and welcome to The New Way podcast, coming to you from Last Pint Production Studios in Boynton Beach, Florida. Wow. Ben shot out of a cannon today, coming out strong during a rare Sunday afternoon taping of the...
Sorry,
Wow, my God.
I've just been playing way too much Red Dead Redemption 2.
I was wondering if that's what that was. Oh, we can talk about Red Dead Redemption also
guess
as
so.
well. I think we got a lot of topics today, but welcome to
Or
The New Way.
PS4 Spider-Man, because I've only played that. I haven't gotten into Red Dead yet.
I do. The PS4 Spider-Man is fucking amazing.
pretty
But
good.
welcome to the New Way podcast, where we talk about pop culture, movies, television, video games. Now making a strong entrance into the podcast world for us. I'm here, of course, with Ben Wilson and Nick Santa Croce, my loyal friends and lovers. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
It's great. It felt great.
Loyal friend.
Really good.
Maybe
Really good.
not as loyal of a lover as
I have to say
could have
the
been.
equal reaction of both. Because I can see both of you in
It's
my
just
periphery.
the slow turn
I
towards
just said
Matt.
lovers, and both of you just had this painted-on smile, like, I don't like
No,
that.
actually, it was the loyal lovers. I
Oh,
was
you're
like,
not a loyal lover. Oh,
I would,
shit.
I would prefer occasional lover,
That's mean.
intermittent lover.
Of course.
It's like Snoop Dogg says, you don't love these hoes.
Ben Wilson's nickname in college, intermittent lover, but that was
The hit by Phil Collins.
that would be
He's an intermittent lover.
So it doesn't have
Sometimes
the right
he'll be
room.
there, sometimes he won't.
It's a hit.
Wow, I think it's definitely a hit. Welcome to our slate of November podcasts. This is one of those amazing instances, once again, that we've talked about in the show, that this episode is going... We're recording this episode 2 days before Election Day, and this episode will be airing probably 2 weeks after Election Day. So we have no idea what the mood of us or the country as a whole will be by the time you listen to this. We hope you're happy.
So we're
This podcast is my chance to escape from the
I
crippling,
hope you're happy
suffocating
now.
reality.
I hope you're happy how.
Come on, man. We don't know, and I hope that I come back and listen to this and go, yeah, that was before we knew that everything would be turned around in one wave of voting.
Oh boy, more ways than one.
uh-oh.
Sound
I
like
mean,
Ben.
even if everything goes the way we want it to go, it's such a long. It'll be so hard to really enjoy that because it's I feel like it's such a long road.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's. I feel like more of it's like my civic duty. I can't enjoy it. It's not something to enjoy.
Not anymore.
There's nothing enjoyable
No,
about
no.
politics.
I like how it used to just be like, oh, my candidate won, haha, and then just we soldiered on until the next one, and then my candidate won, haha. But now it's like it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more division, more competition. It's different. The climate's totally different.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there, and we don't get super political on here, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Next podcast we record could be a very different mood for us, but today we're super happy and hopeful, so that's always good. I also want to let you guys know about a couple of our podcasts coming up. We have a slate of probably another 5 or 6 podcasts you guys will be listening to before the year ends out. We're going to be doing another movie pitch podcast. We're going to be doing one on our talk back culture. We're going to be
Strip poker episode via live on webcam.
That would be pretty good. We need to get
Would be.
there's a sound cue that you just reminded me of that I really need to remember to put on our board at some point. But we've got our
We
next,
have I Like Turtles.
we do have I Like Turtles.
What are you talking about?
And we're gonna have our second annual musical pitch, which should be really, really fun. I think that was a great episode.
You said you were going to unveil the rules. Are we still formulating those rules, Matt? Or we could have a little sneak
wait on that.
preview.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
interested.
wait. Let's
I'm
wait,
interested.
'cause
Let's wait on that.
Yeah, because I think
Okay.
I think
There needs to be discussion before those are aired
Yes.
over the common.
I think
public.
in general, and if you guys,
the commoners.
if any of you that listen to the podcast regularly, such as Ben's dad Scott, who we have to give a shout out to, if you guys have a musical you would a movie you'd like to hear us pitch as a musical, write in, and I'm open to that. But I think I like the idea of this time of maybe us being assigned our musical choices so that we don't have control over the property.
And thanks for the shout. 1, hi, Dad. 2,
sorry, Dad.
Next time you're in town, you're gonna have to be on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. By the way,
Can
anyone
Scott
that's
sit next
ever
to me
here,
in the hot seat over here?
That's usually where they go.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, any of you, by the way, that are ever coming through. In fact, I mean, if you want to do this next time, guys come in for Wakefest or something, I'd be super
Well, no,
into.
I told Ryan. And
Open invitation.
So I'm sorry,
if you
Ryan.
listen and you're here, just come on,
Just
dude.
come on by.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Ryan's gonna get multiple shout outs here again.
There we go.
Because Ryan, I did say if you came
you know
into
what?
town,
This is turning
you
into the Ryan show, and I don't like it anymore.
right.
I don't want to listen anymore.
one shout out's enough. Once you get to two,
that's too much.
Things starting to get a little uncomfortable there.
It's too big for his britches. But
If he kisses my foot, I will allow him on the podcast.
now and then we have a big episode that we can't really tell you a ton about right now, but we are formulating a holiday extravaganza episode that I think will rival the Halloween episodes as maybe the greatest seasonal treat.
And we'll make up for my birthday podcast last year.
Oh, man. Why'd you have to bring that up? That's such a sore spot for me.
I'm so sorry.
I blew up a computer that day. I was thinking about that. Yeah, we tried to do something similar to this last year, but totally different. This one I have a little more control over certain parts of
absolutely.
it, but I think it's going to be a fucking crazy good time. And that will be coming out right before Christmas for you guys to listen to. But
Are you going to make some of your homemade nog?
Ooh, I might. No, that's him. He does the nog.
I do the nog.
Well, it's his house, though. He gets to make the nog, doesn't he?
No,
No,
dude,
you
his
mean
nog
that's-
is fucking
Oh, I know.
great.
It's not my nog. It's Beth's
Did
family's
I
nog.
tell you my
I'll
story?
make my bacon treats.
Here's my story about that nog. You gave me a jar of that nog.
Yes.
Right before I left for home. So I went home and I drank the bottle of nog by myself and got shit-faced
Yeah.
before
I'm not
I caught my
surprised.
plane the next day. Otherwise, it would have gone bad.
That thing is like,
it'll mess you
that
up.
thing is like a quarter.
It really, like, I had a really tough morning. But it didn't go to waste, and I wanted you to know that.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was delicious.
Last year's I drank here, but the year before was when I had family in town and I really needed that nog. And man, did I have a wonderful day with that nog.
Man, I
It was
really
so
needed
good.
that nog.
I needed that nog good.
Yeah.
So one of the things we want to talk about is we've been doing more and more movie reviews, which I want to do it. And there's a really good movie that's out right now that's also kind of ties into a few of our podcasts we've done before, and that's Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the Queen biopic. And Nick and I saw this on Friday night on opening
With
night.
Nick in full Freddie garb, which I did not hear
This
about
is
how
true.
that went over. Did
It was
go-
half Freddie garb, to be technical. I left the striped pants and the Adidas at home.
Yes. But I mean, the jacket and the mustache, it was. People didn't really seem to notice.
No.
They were just like, that's some
Completely
guy
unaffected.
dressed up like that.
Wow.
Not a single reaction. I mean, it was like it was sort of like everyone was Haley Joel Osment.
So it's
Oh, no, everyone
Paul's
was-
worst nightmare at karaoke.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going for a Sixth Sense reference that people couldn't see the ghost, and I picked the one person who could see the
Yes,
ghost.
yes.
But you get where I was going with that.
Yes,
I
yes.
get where you go.
No one knew. It was like, okay, and I wasn't going for a reaction, but just a subtle nod from a fellow fan from across the room would have been nice.
Nick,
But,
Nick did like a little business as he's getting into a seat, to make sure everyone gets a good view. He's just making sure the seat, let me put my things in here and
I got to
just
stretch
look around.
with just my one arm in the iconic Freddy pose. Oh, there we go.
That's-
There we go.
That kind of makes me think about. So on Halloween, my wife had bought me a Waldo, a Where's Waldo outfit, and I was just like, yeah, it's something kind of cute and it's
Yeah.
easy. I can wear it to work or whatever. I'm not sure how many shout outs I'm gonna get. I swear every other person I saw that day was just like, where are you? Oh, I can't find you. I was like,
man.
oh, like at the beginning of the day I was just like, oh, that's funny. At the end of the day I was just like,
Nope.
I'm just avoiding people. Just like, I don't want to get a shout out. I don't want to hear anything from anybody.
Now, see, when we came to your house and we saw you out in the Waldo costume, I looked at Matt. I was like, Beth's going to be Carmen Sandiego. They're going to do that because
This is
I
true.
love
This is
that
true.
couple's costume. I love that costume, and it's kind of ubiquitous, but it's always good. It's always a good one.
I like that one. Yeah, no, actually.
So Beth, you should invest in that red trench coat.
There
just
is,
in
and
case.
actually, before we get into Bohemian Rhapsody, let's talk a little bit about Halloween because so as we said, we were recording
Which
these a little
Matt
bit early.
won again.
Second year in a row, bitches.
And I'm not just saying that I am not only implying that he won the brass tap costume contest, but won a Halloween with his costume just being out and about as Hagrid with full-on platforms.
I also
think-
re-broke my ankle, so it was a great night.
Oh, I think you gave yourself, 7 extra inches there? Man.
Yeah, oh man, I swear to God, I was so depressed.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, I was so depressed on Thursday being short again that I was like, it was so fun to be tall. But my costume was a Hagrid the Giant from Harry Potter costume that was pretty screen accurate, I would say. That I took at Brass Tap more photos with strangers than I've ever appeared in my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I took Matt aside. I said, like, as a joke, I go, just
true.
ask for $1. $1 a photo. I mean, people will give you $1, and then you'll have like $30.
You could have definitely drank for free.
I know. I said, buy me a drink.
Yeah.
I'll take a photo with you. I mean,
I
they would have
could've,
done it.
I could have.
And Matt, the true gentleman. We lost him for like 45 minutes in the night. We're just hanging out. Like, where the fuck's Matt? Oh, he's taking pictures with those hot girls over there. He's been over there for 30 minutes.
It was a lot of girls, and specifically also Cody, the bartender.
loved it.
I walked into the bar.
Your money's no good here anymore.
No, I walked in, and Cody saw me, and he just pointed at me first, and he wouldn't say anything. He just couldn't come up with words. And I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he pointed, and he goes, "I have to give you a hug." I go, all right, we're not at that level, but sure, go ahead. And he literally came behind the bar and gave me a hug and was just like, I'm so happy right now.
When you say we're not at that level, you meant literally he was about 5 feet shorter than you.
Well, and there was also a real weird dynamic. There was a couple at the bar, girl in like a ridiculously hot cat girl costume. Like everyone's just like,
Wait.
What the hell?
Yes.
Cat?
Yes.
Just a cat.
Not Catwoman.
Not Catwoman.
It was a cat.
It was a cat girl costume.
It was like one of those obvious plant memes of like
Yes.
cat girl.
Yeah, like tight, like leather pants and the ears and whatever.
Very Julie Newmar, budget store, a budget Julie Newmar, right?
Yeah, and I mean stretching the material to its limits in all the right ways, and just ridiculous. So my first moment after Cody hugs me is I walk over to sign up for karaoke, and she literally, this is her intro. She just turns to me and she goes, "I love you." And then that was it. And then so I walked back, and then she called me over again. She's with her boyfriend, who's dressed as Thor from Thor Ragnarok, right? And they're
I don't know if they were.
So it's very strange. There was a very weird dynamic, and they also had vague accents. Like they had,
are
like,
you sure it wasn't her brother?
They had like sort of these vague. And well, hold on, I'll get to where I think what was happening. They had these vague like Eastern European, anonymous Eastern European accents, but like very light. Like they've been trying to get rid of them. I could not place it. So then she calls me over.
Was maybe Netherlands or
like it was something. It was maybe Nordic, maybe some kind of Nordic thing.
I got a little Viking vibe there.
So she calls me over a second time, and then I want to take pictures, and she's very like demanding. So she hands her phone to someone, and the guy like starts to take a picture. She goes, "No, full size." And I'm like, I don't know what that is. She's like, she wants the height. She wants to see the boots and the full size of the giant costume.
Respect.
So I take like 5, because she keeps yelling at this guy because she does not like the pictures he takes. Like 5 photos with her, and the boy, whatever this other man is just watching it with like a big grin on his face. And I'm like, I don't know. I start getting that weird vibe, like there's something going on. He's like, "You drinking with us tonight?" I was like, I'm gonna go back over and hang out with my friends for a bit.
And also, she had Thor on a dog leash the whole night too. So that was the other sign that something the power dynamics were a little off.
So then they latch on to Nick, and then they latch on to Paul, who's in a hot cop outfit. Nick is in his Night's Watchman outfit, and it becomes very clear to me at one point that Thor wants to watch Catgirl like be with a few other costume gentlemen tonight.
I see.
I think that was the dynamic
It
I
turned
was
into a
seeing.
real cosplay.
I remember at one point we were all drunk enough that I turned to both to Nick and Luke, because we've been discussing the thing. I go, I think it's happening, and both Nick and Luke and I are like, you know what?
Paul, you mean?
Paul. Sorry, yes.
I was about to say,
So we all look at each other and we're like, all right, we're in. If it happens, we're in. We're in. It's gonna happen.
And apropos, of course, like, wasn't Kevin a giant dill pickle or something? He was
He was a dirty pickle, which I did not was a costume.
He came in with a dirty sand, like a goatee, a scraggly goatee. And as the night progressed, parts of it started falling off, and then he was left with just the goat, which actually looked dirtier than the full.
Yes, he looked like very
worse
kind
than
of
the mustache,
like
worse than just
Eastern kind of just like the bottom big beard. But it was, I will have to say, shout out to Brass Tap for putting on one of the most epically entertaining nights I've had in a long time.
I'm bummed I wasn't there
And
now.
fuck you, propaganda, and your shitty karaoke that we went to last year. You're dead to me.
It was nice to have the karaoke DJ not abandon his post to go to the bar and grab a handle of vodka himself when the bartenders were busy, pour it down his throat, and return to his post like last time.
Yeah, and have the karaoke person sing all of their own songs.
Yeah.
But I won the contest. And I have a bottle of Chimay Premier Reserve in the fridge right now.
Nice.
And a red, what looks like a MAGA hat that I will never wear, which I felt really bad because I called out the guys that were there from Chimay that were sponsoring the whole thing. They give me the prize pack, and I hadn't looked at it, and I've been kind of talking to them, but they didn't have their hats on the whole time. So at one point, we're all watching someone on stage, and I see the two of them with their hats, and I didn't know, and I go, "You guys wearing fucking MAGA hats?" And they're like, no, it's Chimay. They're red. There's nothing we can do. I could tell that this guy's like dealt with this question like 100 times. He's just like,
that is a good point. Like I've thought about that. Red hats are fucking ruined.
They're ruined forever.
They're ruined. They're painted.
I actually have a red, like a free red hat that I got that was like a
not
Sam Adams
anymore.
Rebel hat, where it's actually kind of cool because the logo's on starts there and goes on the side.
Yep.
And I was like, I would never keep that hat, but it was kind of a badass hat. It was like well made. And it has to go in the trash now.
I think red hats are the Hitler mustache of our generation. Like, I think red hats have now just been ruined by a dictator, and
There weren't a lot of people running around with the chaplain, though, to be fair.
No. I mean, even Michael Jordan tried it. Like, that was a great. Like
Jordan had a flavor saver and a Hitler stash. It looked like a line going straight down from his nose to his chin.
Yeah, it was
it's
real
slightly
close
different
to the Hitler
If it was
stash, though.
just the Hitler, then that's one thing.
Well, but it was a good litmus test to say, if anyone was going to be able to
different.
bring back the Hitler stash and like put a new spin on it, it's Michael Jordan. Even Michael Jordan's like, nope, couldn't do it.
He dipped his toes in there, like, let's keep the soul patch. We'll see if I can ease my way in.
I think he heard enough.
This is true.
I heard enough about that.
Yeah. So Bohemian Rhapsody, the main reason I want to talk about it on this is one of the podcasts that
Full disclosure, I have not seen this movie yet.
Well, no, and
I may or may not, probably will not be seeing it later.
You might be able to, but what's amazing about it is the episode preceding this one right now is an episode on sound design that Ben and I recorded, and the sound mix on Bohemian Rhapsody is maybe the best sound mix I've ever seen in a biopic ever in my life.
Strikingly good, and you know what? I wouldn't even have to qualify it as a biopic. It stood out. It stood out not just in the music scenes. When they were mixing the studio, it was perfect. You paid attention to all the right things. And like Matt said earlier when we saw it, it was an IMAX screening, so maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe there's better sound in that theater.
My brothers didn't see it IMAX and said it was good.
It's so good.
It's and what they do is in a biopic you're constantly dealing with you're dealing with live on-set sound, you're dealing with lip syncing, you're dealing with all that stuff. I read a little bit into what they did with it, and I think what they did was kind of amazing, and it's really smart. Is they took the masters of Freddie Mercury from the actual performances. They took a sound-alike, this Canadian
live performances.
Yeah, this Canadian singer that does a really good Freddie, and it's Rami Malek also doing a lot of it. So that when he starts singing without any accompaniment, just like riffing on things on there, and then it segs into the actual songs, there is no change in sound. It doesn't sound like all of a sudden they turned on the track that he's lip syncing to. It literally sounds like he was singing this one thing and now he's singing a song, and now there's instrument accompaniment to it. And same also with I read the whole Another One Bites the Dust that they do in the movie is all them actually playing the instruments. It's the only one of all of them are playing the instruments, and it's their singing and their shit on all of it. But it is the sound design is so good, and it's so important for what they eventually. And I won't ruin it for Ben for what they do at the end of the movie, but they lean in real hard to something, and they play a something for an extended period of time that's amazing. That really just fucking works.
Nice.
And back to the lip syncing, I mean, as a big Queen fan, as a big Freddie Mercury fan, I mean, I did go to this theater with the mustache. Thanks, Matt. I really was expecting to have moments where I was taken out of it because Remy didn't look like he was singing, or it felt awkward going from speaking to singing, and I resign myself to, like, it's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do. I've never seen a movie where I'm fully convinced that someone is lip syncing, really is singing. There's not one moment I can point to in that movie where it stood out. I bought it every single time. I leaned over to you and I go, every time he sings, I'm like, I buy it every time.
Well, but he did a lot of singing for them. I mean, he did a lot of training and a lot of singing for them.
But
there's
so
a
do a lot of
specific
people.
sequence I mean,
So do a lot of people in
yeah.
a lot of movies and a lot of biopics about musicians, and I'm always like, lip syncing, or it's obvious.
But that was the thing. Yeah, well, when you're talking about the lip syncing sort of thing,
Yeah.
but, like, I even look back, and I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time, but I look back on, like, Walk the Line.
Sure.
And Joaquin Phoenix's performance in that, because he did all of the singing live.
No, and that's why
they
it
were
works,
like,
yeah.
they were like, we're gonna live with him not quite sounding like Johnny
Yes.
Cash, but the performance is going to be there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, like, the same thing that they did that who or whatever did with like Les Mis, when they were just like, yeah, it's going to be challenging as fuck to record all this live, but we're using only live audio. And I'm like, those are the challenges that I think you have to navigate when you're doing something that involves live performance.
But
the Doors. I mean,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer and Kyle MacLachlan. I read an interview with Kyle. He's like, we all learned how to actually play the song, and it was something that it brought us together, and we felt like we really were a band, and we could become Jim Morrison, we could become the Doors. But, like, when you watch that movie,
You're 100% correct.
You know it's a bunch of assholes lip syncing, even though they took the time to learn the instruments. It's not that easy.
And I will
it's not
say that,
easy.
and it's credit where credit is due. And the movie is 100% DGA rules credited to Bryan Singer as sole director in the movie. The two other guys shot 16 days of the movie, but there are some Bryan Singer slick shot design in that. And I'm a Bryan Singer directorial big time fan since Apt Pupil.
It really put me in a tight spot, choosing
Yeah.
between supporting the legacy of Freddie Mercury and Bryan Singer.
He does some reflection shots that are pure Spielberg fanboy shit, but the one that specifically gets to me is in part of the Live Aid recreation. It's the hands on the piano, and you're getting the reflection of Mercury off of the piano gloss, and it's him lip syncing in perfect time to and I'm looking at a shot like that. I'm like, that. I know that's done with computers, and I know that they're doing things, but that is a hard fucking shot to pull off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really is, and
I was surprised, but so I'm assuming you guys liked the movie.
Yeah,
I really did.
I was surprised at how much I liked
teared
it.
up at the end. I'm not going to lie, a few times.
I'm really happy to hear
yeah.
that, just because it got such kind of that was very divided.
I don't
critically.
understand it.
And that's why the second reason I want to talk about it, because I want to talk about the sound design, because we just got off of that episode. But the other thing is talking about hype, movie hype, and how critical opinion and public opinion can change around a movie. And the same thing happened with Venom, although to a very different degree, and that Venom is entertainingly bad, whereas Bohemian Rhapsody is a feel-good, emotional, fun, kind of just, it's a movie that it none of the facts necessarily line up correctly with history of it, but everything of it feels right, and it puts everyone in a really good mood by the end of it.
you
know what I mean,
I
but
feel
like
there's
for their legacy.
There's an interesting thing, and I don't know if this is just me, but
It's just you.
For the last 10 or so years, every time there's a movie that is specifically made as like a feel good, like it's clear, like they're swinging for the fences as like, we want to make something that's earnest. We want to make something that's kind of genuine, and that we're trying to earn the emotional response at the end of the movie just by kind of laying the groundwork throughout the course, so that you can feel that nice part. Like
Their feet,
movies,
but this is on
movies
purpose, though. This
movies-
is on purpose.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
movies like Eddie the Eagle, or movies like I'm trying to think of all like I said, you understand what I'm thinking
Oscar
about.
Beatty.
No,
It's emotional bait.
No,
This
it's
is
emotional bait.
And,
Yeah.
Same thing.
And while this ends on, and obviously, spoiler alert, Freddie Mercury is not alive anymore. The movie ends with Freddie Mercury dying.
No, it doesn't.
But not really. Actually, you're correct. It doesn't.
It's a title card.
Yeah, it ends with a postscript, basically,
Right.
telling
we
it.
know
But-
he's dying.
But it is an emotionally, yes, it's a little bit, it's sad, but I felt very uplifted
And you know why?
by the music.
You know why? Yes. I mean, if you're a Queen fan, even casually hearing these songs, people, right when it started to get slow, they'd play a Queen song, everyone was right back in, right? You do realize how iconic these songs really are to people growing up, and they have these memories of these songs. But the thing that really tapped into, and I think really speaks to this positive feeling that you leave ultimately, even though it's somewhat of a sad, bittersweet ending with Freddie, but they really tap into what I loved about that band, and why as a little kid, as they were my first band that I really kind of...
I'm so
For
sorry.
the love
That's
of
such
God.
It's
The
Mary
first-
Shank. Thanks, Mom. Thanks a lot.
Well, can we say hi to my folks? We got Scott, we got Mary. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi, Kathy.
Thank you. So, my first CD that I got that was like my choice, I saw Wayne's World, and I bought Queen Best Of. That was my first CDs ever. Is Greatest Hits Volume 2.
You didn't buy the Wayne... I had the Wayne's World
Killer Queen.
soundtrack.
They were sold out of that. But like, even as a kid, you heard
Did you
Bohemian...
Feed My Frankenstein on that by... Feed My Frankenstein.
Meet
Millie
my
Walker.
libido. She's a psycho.
Algonquin for the good land. But so I see Wayne's World, and I go, I never heard anything like this. And they were trailblazers, and there's a whole scene where they're like, we're not just gonna follow up Killer Queen, we're gonna make Night at the Opera. It's gonna be as grandiose as an opera, but it's also gonna be and ironically, they cast Mike Myers as the record executive, who ultimately spurns them, and he has this one great line that references Wayne's World in a roundabout way that.
Not roundabout. It is 100%
it's
on
pretty
the nose,
great.
but it's really well
And
done.
it's one of those lines that I could have rolled my eyes to, but it made me really happy because it reminded me that was my literal introduction to Queen. Is watching Wayne's World. It was my first PG-13 movie I ever saw, and loving that band because they were so weird and they were so unafraid to be.
I saw Wayne's World in the
crazy
theater
and
with
big.
my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and they knew that was a lot of people in the theater's first introduction to Queen, so they referenced it. So I loved it, but they tap into the feeling of not marching to your own drummer and creating art and the rush that true artists get when they truly realize a vision and they're not trying to pander to an audience or a record label, but they have a vision and they see it through, and and how that affects you as an artist, and it's inspiring.
Yeah, no, and look, if you're listening to reviews out there, you're going to hear a lot of reviews that are going to shit on the movie. We were in a packed theater, which everyone fucking loved the flick.
No, that's what I was saying.
And Spellbound. Do you remember? It was completely silent during the quiet scenes. Completely silent.
And here's the thing I can equate it to most, and I can't remember if you wound up doing this, Nick, or not. I know Ben and Beth did, but at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, you can go and watch a series of live performances,
it's
right?
the 20-minute,
The
girls went and saw.
Yeah.
we put
the headphones on.
we put headphones on our daughters' heads.
Now it might have been the IMAX, but I felt the same thing during the last 20 minutes of this movie that I felt watching that Prince solo on there, which is kind of impressive. That I know I'm not watching, and I've seen Live Aid, I've seen these performances, I've seen this stuff, and
if you're at home and you haven't watched the full Live Aid set by Queen, like go on Google and watch it.
And about like you and my brother and me all had the exact same thing. Like we've all watched this 100 times, and it's still just so magnetic to watch on screen.
You know that was the first thing that they filmed for this movie?
Yes, yes.
Getting that out of the way.
I
kind of understand that.
Well, when I heard the interview with Rami Malek, he was just like, so he's like, so it's just like, go, like we're there all of a sudden, and just like
Queen is literally there too. Brian May.
He was like the first shot. I go outside and Brian May's over on the side of the stage, like and like giving a thumbs up, and he was just like, that's not terrifying at all.
Everyone involved. It's exceptionally well cast. It is a very slick direction.
The little kid from Jurassic Park is
Joseph Mazzello plays Deacon. Which you
that.
kept calling him Richard Deakins, not
no,
Roger
no.
Deakins.
I called him Roger Deacon
instead of Richard Deakins.
instead of Richard Deacon, because I was thinking the cinematographer.
He shot this movie
and mixing up two with the members of Queen. But I digress.
But anyway, yeah, guys, go. If you're a fan of music and especially a fan of Queen, go and see this movie. If you don't like it, literally, like call us, and I want to hear why you don't like it. I've heard a lot of people bitch about the movie of not being accurate.
You say call
or
us.
being,
Do we have a? We should get a line, like a little voice line. One of those Google phone calls. Remember those?
I could set us up with a grasshopper. I don't think anyone's going to. If they're not emailing us, they're not going to pick up a phone and call us. I don't imagine.
Well, maybe I'll have a couple drinks at the bar
No.
and call us, and we'll listen to it the next day.
561-555.
By the way, here is another call out, and Ben, feel free to put this on the board. If anybody, and you know the recording dates of our next episodes, if anyone wants to Skype in and talk to us on a podcast, we will put you on live on tape as we do all of our podcasts, but you are welcome to come on and tell us what we're doing well, what we're doing wrong.
If you submit a well-thought-out page-and-a-half essay about why you deserve to be on the New Way podcast.
No, actually, I'm gonna sweeten this deal. Anyone from Ben's Beer Group specifically that Skypes in to our show
and gives us a box of beer
and shares us with their fans, I will give them 2 free Civil Society cans. And by the way, I've got some very experimental and sought after rare civil cans that will be in my possession in about 2 weeks.
That's true.
So
don't tell Ben exactly when you're going to have those. Now he knows.
He's going to be there.
Passion fruit vanilla fresh.
Yes, yeah. There's the anniversary and the passion fruit vanilla fresh. There's some good shit up there.
Vanilla fresh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some good beers in a few.
God.
It's Civil Society anniversary in 2 weeks.
Do you want us to make you an Earl Grey or something? Get you a little tea of lemon. You get it out, buddy.
Let me get it. Hold on. I get my nectar of the gods. My
I see you fighting through it. I think it might be better if you just let it all out in one 10-second spurt. Oh my god!
that was just Al Pacino. Ow!
Hoo-ha!
By the way, I muted my mic. That was all your mics, and it picked it up.
Oh my god!
That is the most amazing Spike I have ever seen on our readout here.
Not counting Christopher Maloney as Spike in Television's Dinosaurs.
All right, well, let's get into our actual topic of the day, because I'm so excited for this episode. I really cannot contain my excitement.
BDSM films, past and present.
So if you guys listened many episodes ago, we did an episode called Cold Reading. Cold Reading is where we assign one another a movie that none of us have heard of. We have not seen it. We've not heard of it.
We haven't seen the movie poster. We haven't. Yeah. We don't know who's in it.
We don't know who's in it. Sometimes not even what decade the movie is from. And we assign it. We are to watch this movie without any outside interference and watch it cold. And I think I want to start with Nick, because Nick, you're the only one I haven't seen out of the group this one. But Ben assigned Nick this movie.
So the reason, also Nick and I were under the initial thought that because we were kind of planning this in October, we were thinking, okay, well, this blind reading, we're going to do horror. We're going to do.
I thought that was the prompt. We were doing horror.
I thought that was the point. And it was like, oh, we're doing a horror thing.
Two of us can't be wrong.
Let's just wait till we get to your. We were.
Don't bury the lead here.
There was a loose understanding by some of the people in the room.
By 2 out of 3, the majority of the New Way podcast.
By some of the contributors to the New Way podcast.
We're not wrong
this was going to be.
We talked about this. I thought it for sure it was hard.
Listen, you want my argument? I'm going to argue it when we get there. But let's just wait.
It's perfectly fine. So, anyways, I that was the reason why I chose the movie specifically for Nick, because Nick, it's not a movie I would choose for you otherwise. I was trying to think of something that was.
But you do love Australian horror films, to be fair.
Wait, this is an Australian movie?
Yeah, it was.
You assigned me an Australian.
That's what I'm
movie.
saying. That's what I was referencing.
Yes.
You assigned Australian films.
Are you going to assign any movies other than Australian movies?
I didn't even realize that the correlate, because
you always
Look Both Ways. Look Both Ways is also
Look Both Ways is an Australian movie. Yes.
Next time you'll watch that movie with the crocodile. What's it called?
Rogue.
Oh my god,
that movie fucking rules.
I honestly think I have an Australian movie to assign to one of you two for the next round that could be really good. Okay. Don't forget that I said that.
I would assign you guys Rogue, which is an Australian film, but but I feel like we should just watch that movie one night because it's fun.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
Crikey.
After Nick gets into his, I also want to hear you need to tell the story about telling Candace about this movie.
Oh, okay.
Dude, real quick. It's very quick.
So the movie that I assigned Nick is a movie called Lake Mungo.
Not to be confused with Lake Mungo Jerry, the origin story before he met Rumpelteazer, before the musical was written. In the summertime.
Oh, man.
Mungo
Anyway.
Jerry
And Rumpelteazer were a notorious Australian cat.
Oh, my goodness. Anyways. So that was a reference.
I love cats.
But anyways, no, I recommended the movie because I asked Nick if he had seen it. He has not seen it at all. But it's a horror movie that a lot of people who,
have seen this obscure mockumentary Australian horror film. No, I have not seen it.
well, it's
or heard of
actually
it.
it's gotten. I mean, because it's really well received in a lot of like horror groups. And
It
stuff
was a
like that.
debut, wasn't it? The first film of the guy.
Yes, it was.
Right.
But anyways, the Candace, my wife's cousin.
Hi, Candace. Hi, Frank.
Yes, they
We love them.
They texted us at one point. And we're like, "Hey, we want to watch a horror movie that we've never heard of or never seen or whatever. Do you have any ideas? Does Ben have any ideas?" I was like, "Oh," and I couldn't remember the name of the movie, and I was like, "Oh, have they seen Lake Mongo? Not Lake Mungo.
Oh,
Lake
no.
Did you say Mongo Lake?
I said no. I said Mongo Lake.
Mongo Lake.
So
Mongo
they're like, I was
Pawn
like,
in Game of Life.
exactly. And so
Wow.
I'm asking them, and I was like, just look on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. You know, it's online. A bunch of places. They're just like, yeah, we're not finding anything for Mongo Lake. And they're like, and don't go on the image search for Mongo Lake because
no.
like whatever. Anyways, I have no idea.
Well, now I want to do the image search for Mongo Lake.
I have
So,
no
Nick,
idea.
tell us about Mongo Lake.
No. So, anyways, it finally came around. We realized that I had messed up, but yes, it was Lake Mungo is the film. So go
Like
ahead.
Mongo.
Now, last time you got mad at me for doing a synopsis. Do you want
No,
just my review or the synopsis? I think I maybe do need to set it
The
up.
only
a little bit.
reason I
You
got
need a
mad last time
synopsis.
is it was a 60-second review, so synopsis kind of kills it. This one, 100% the synopsis. So I'm going to put this out right now. This is a spoiler alert for this episode. We are going to be talking about the plot of 3 movies. When we tell you the title of the movie, if for some reason you want to see it, and if it's Ben's movie, don't worry, we're not going to ruin anything. The one Nick assigned me, you might want to see, but I still think it's worth watching if you know what it's about.
Okay.
I don't know about Lake
Yeah.
Mungo yet, but
Yeah, and especially for Lake Mungo.
Well-
there is a pretty good twist. So
Ooh.
if you like that type of thing, maybe you do want to gloss over this. But it starts off with this family.
Talk about the style of the movie first.
no, let him. It's his review. You have your rebuttal period once you get to it.
Okay.
The style of the movie is a mockumentary, a horror
Not
mockumentary.
mockumentary. It's just like a.
It's mocking documentaries. It's not for humor.
Was this
It's
a
not-
real?
it's not-
was
a
this
fake
a real
documentary then.
Mungo?
It's found footage. It's like a documentary.
It's not found footage though.
It is found footage because they use all the found footage.
But it's not found because it's fake. Spoiler alert. Anyway,
That's what found footage movies are. It's
Okay,
fake
it's-
found footage.
but they have sit down interviews. Blair Witch didn't have sit down interviews.
Yes,
with
they
them.
did. They had interviews with all the people in the town.
Lit in a room with 3-point lighting and an odd. Come on, we've been doing these.
I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit.
It is played off to be a documentary based on fact. All right, that is how it plays. So we can get into semantics.
The thing is, mockumentary makes fun of
God.
documentaries. That's why I'm
Okay,
saying
it's not
mockumentary-
making fun of it. You're right. You're right.
Mockumentary is
You're
not
right.
the
You're right.
right
You're right. Anyway, it's a documentary. It's a horror documentary. We're supposed to believe that all the things that happen, the people being interviewed, are real.
Okay.
That will give you the idea. Okay. So it's about this family. There's a son, a mom and a dad, and a daughter, Alice. The family's out swimming one day in Lake Mungo. Every time I'm going to say it wrong. Every time I go look at Matt, I'm going to Mongo Lake, Lake Mungo.
Already my favorite podcast. ever.
and Alice drowns and dies.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
the precipice of the entire film.
Okay.
And just completely grief stricken. It's all over the news. It's in an Australian Ararat, I believe.
A what?
Ararat is where it takes place in Australia.
Ararat is the city.
Ararat,
Okay.
yes. And basically, it gets lots of news coverage. It's really just a huge tragedy. And in a way to deal with this tragedy, the son, who's kind of a little American Beauty-esque, carrying this camera around, sets up his camera at the house to try to catch footage of Alice. Maybe she comes back and they see her. And sure enough, she surfaces in these videos that he sets up around the house. So the family is now kind of in a complete flurry. They believe Alice is coming back and trying to tell him something, and they totally buy into it. So they end up going to the shrink and getting his opinion on things, and it turns out they find out that the son has been staging these videos. He set up a television. He's showing her reflection in a mirror. It's not really her. He staged it the whole time. Now that cat's out of the bag, this same shrink comes clean with the family. They find out that before Alice died, she went to this shrink and said, I've had these visions of myself dying. So he knew her before she died.
Okay.
The family is irate.
Yeah,
Why didn't you tell us?
they
Why didn't
had
you
no
tell
idea.
us? They drop him, and they are kind of left to pick up these pieces. They go back to this footage again, and they know it's fake, but they do find one more thing. In one shot, they see their neighbor, this middle-aged dude, in Alice's room, looking around. And it's right there in the video. They didn't notice it because they're looking at... Their attention is all on the fake Alice.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he'd broken into the house and gone through her room. They go, what could he possibly be there for? They look at Alice's room. They find this safe, this hidden little box that she keeps all of her special little things in. There's a videotape in there with a menage a trois. And she's underage, right?
Yeah.
She's underage daughter having sex with the neighbor and his wife.
Oh, shit.
So clearly that's what he was looking for.
Wow.
And that was kind of a weird
Kind of like
turn.
like Sixth Sense meets Lovely Bones.
Yeah, it felt like kind of a turn for turn's sake. That part kind of weirded me out.
It's the weirdest part of the movie, but
I don't like it so
it
much.
gets through it really fast.
Luckily. So they
By
the
the
guy
way-
ends up Go ahead.
I'm so sorry to interrupt this.
No, go ahead.
The entire time you've been telling me there's this movie, Lake Mungo, and I know it's an Australian movie. I shit you not, I've been assuming this is a movie about a giant crocodile. I literally have assumed it is Lake Placid. And so as Nick is telling his story, I keep being like, so when did they go to the lake where
it's
there's the
like-
big
crocodile
giant
shot.
crocodile?
Bridget Fonda is not in this film, unfortunately.
Man, this
And,
gone way.
and neither is Bill
sorry.
Pullman.
This movie's gone very south for me so far.
much to the chagrin of my dog.
So they try to look into it, and I think he ends up avoiding prosecution because he moves away. He knows that it's a matter of time. He gets the fuck out of Dodge, and they really don't know what to do. The last bit of information that comes out is they find this old cell phone footage from her boyfriend and her friends. They had gone to Lake Mungo before she died to have bonfires and drink beer and do teenager stuff, as they are wont to do. And they found this old footage of her just like frantically digging in the beach of Lake Mungo and being really super freaked out. So they go to the beach. They find out where she buried, and she buried her cell phone and some other personal things. So they charge up the phone, they fire it up, and there is... Did they say footage on the phone
Right,
of
it is on
her
the phone.
dead self?
It's the one long shot. It's the penultimate like moment of the movie, which is it's like a 2-minute shot with her narration over it, and it's fucking terrifying. It's the scariest found footage thing I've seen since Blair Witch. In my opinion.
But she sees basically what happens is her dead drowned self talking to her, and then we see, okay, that was the origin of her going to the shrink, because she's seeing visions of her dead self, and she knew she was going to die.
Okay.
So that is, to me, it was not the imagery, it was the scary thing about that to me is, how would you act if you knew you were going to die, you know? And I mean, I guess it didn't stop her from going in the fucking Lake Mungo, but she saw her dead self and ended up dying. Mungo. God damn it. It's in my head now. So the movie ends with the family like not really making much headway with this. They're not really dealing with it. They found out that the video was fake, so I guess it wasn't her, or maybe it was, and they just want to move on. So they decide, well, Alice just wanted us to know that she's okay.
You're skipping over the one big part.
Hold on.
Hold on. My God.
No, so here's the new rule with these ones. I think the interesting thing is have the person present their interpretation of the new thing that they've watched. And then you can have your time to say, well, you missed this, you missed that, whatever.
Okay.
Like when Nick completely hated Ruthless People, and then I had to explain to him these subtle
No, that's fine. I'm sorry.
behind that movie. That, by the way, everyone who made it hates and feels it's the worst movie they've ever done. But anyway, continue.
By the way, you guys can feel free to jump in when I'm talking about.
Oh, you better
the
bet
rape
your sweet ass I will.
Oh, no, I have plenty to talk about the race, but I want to hear your opinion first.
And I'm not. Like I said, I was only just making sure that we were on the same page as far as what was going on.
Well, let him.
Yes. So go over
describe it for him.
So everything else.
You can take the ending if you want, Ben. You want to take the
No.
ending?
I want to hear your interpretation of the ending.
Well, I mean, it's not an interpretation. If I missed something, I missed it, I guess. I don't think I did. I'm not done yet.
It doesn't mean that you missed
basically,
something.
the family moves. They pack up. They move out of that house.
Okay.
They basically, we feel like in some way, even if it was fake, we connected with Alice, and maybe the last thing she wanted us to know is just that she was here and okay and whatever. But it's time to move on. It's time to get out of this house. So they move, and then the movie ends with them moving. And interspersed, they have these interviews with people in their lives to put the pieces together, and it feels sort of like a crime doc in a way. So they're gone. Over credits. This is the twist, everyone. Spoiler alert. Again, they show the same footage that we've seen, same photos we've seen, where they catch Alice in the, in the yard, in her room, the ones that were manipulated by the sun. But the camera now pans over to the right of frame, where you weren't paying attention, and there is Alice. So the twist is she actually has manifested in all these fake videos. They just didn't notice it. They just noticed the fake one. So she was there the whole time. And that's the kicker. What did I miss?
That was it. That was
Okay,
it. I was
yeah,
making
yeah.
sure
you,
you were bringing that
mean
up.
the end of the movie, Ben? I wasn't done yet, for God's sake. I knew this was going to happen. Anyway, I will say this. I didn't love it after I watched it. There were parts of it
fine.
that it felt like like Blair, and I'll bring up Blair Witch. Blair Witch, I bought that this was found footage. A different style of film than what this was.
I mean, it was also sort of the birth of modern day found footage. But
right.
yeah.
Like having the sit down interviews, I think were good for the story and good for the flow, but it took me out of it knowing that it wasn't real. These actors are sitting down, and it I think it's just me. It's not everybody, and I think that a lot of people will like this movie. But it stood out to me as actors acting like real people in a documentary setting, and it constantly took me out of it. The part where they find out that she was this underage girl was having sex with the neighbors, and like it was kind of unnecessary and weird.
It was a very Twin Peaksian thing, actually. When I was listening to you kind of describe it, it sounded very much to me like a Laura Palmer kind of thing. But
yeah, sort of. But this fact that she was under it's just like a little weird to me.
Well, I mean, is 16 underage in Australia?
Well, I mean,
I know that sounded like a joke.
It doesn't matter if you're.
I might be going to Australia next year, so I just want to know it. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So basically, I watched this, and there were moments where I kind of zoned out, and there were moments where they really grabbed me again. So I was going in and out. So it was an interesting experience, and I ended up ending the movie kind of like, it's okay. But then that night, I was super fucking freaked out. Super freaked out. So my opinion kind of changed again. I kind of did a swing back to like, oh, that did what it was supposed to do. I closed my door. Didn't want reflections in the mirror. You know, like I was genuinely freaked out after that movie, and I thought about it a lot after I saw it. So while in the moment there were lots of things I would have changed, I thought were unnecessary, that I thought wasn't that great in some way, it did like absolutely stay with me. And I think that it's really different than a lot of films that you're going to see. Like you said, Frank and Candace are asking for a horror movie they haven't seen. Like, I think a lot of people obviously haven't seen this. It's definitely worth checking out.
Cool. Nice. What is that now? So why did you assign that to Nick?
I assigned it because
we were supposed to assign a horror movie, Matt, and that was a horror movie.
No, because I think it's a fun. It's a fun movie that I think, and exactly what you said, and perfectly summed it up. It has no real reason to be as affecting as it is, and it's got no jump scare. It's got no there's one sequence that I find, at least the thing that kind of haunted me, is that one long shot from the cell phone video where she's walking down along the side of Lake Mungo, and it's her narration. But the one thing you did miss is that when she had gone to this therapist, the therapist who had kind of not divulged the fact that she had been going to him for a while, it was that he did hypnotherapy on her, and in these hypnotherapy sessions he had taped her, and he said, "What, where are you now? What are you doing?" And there was this sequence where she's kind of explaining her own death, while it's this almost black and white, like night vision cell phone video just walking aimlessly for like 2 minutes, and then you see this figure in the distance that starts kind of coming, and it's just a very, very unnerving sequence.
And the yes, and the one other, and that was in the box with the sex tape, right?
No,
Tapes.
her tapes were, yes.
They're all in there.
No,
So
or he gave
they
the
find
tapes
out
or something
that
like
they did
that,
a sex tape, and then they also find out that she's been saying this same
Yeah,
shrink, right?
yeah.
The one eerie part was that the father sees this cell phone footage that Alice sees of her dead, drowned self coming at her at the beach, and he goes, "That's what I saw," because he's the only one who identified the body. The mother was too afraid and too scared to do it.
It's a good bit. That's a good piece.
He goes,
of business.
he goes, "I wish that she had done it in retrospect because she had no closure. I was the only one who saw the dead body, and that was her. So I know that's what she looked like when she died, and then somehow Alice had gotten footage of." So that was pretty creepy. But here's another thing.
Yeah, it was very
with like
unnerving.
15-year-old kids, I was like, I saw a vision of my own death. I'm gonna go in the Yellow Pages, the Australian Yellow Pages, and find the right psychotherapist, and I'm gonna find money to pay for it and go to like 15 sessions.
I thought that they earned that
That
pretty
was
well.
fucking weird.
Is it because they kind of played her as being way more intelligent, like being kind of
So she's mature for her age, so we know why that the neighbors were.
okay. We'll get past that,
buddy.
Listen.
This is why we
understand
can't
what-
have
but,
nice
what I'm
things.
saying
Ben,
is
for
that
all
they
the
definitely-
times that Nick feels we're ganging up on him, there's a few times where I have to take
Oh, no,
purposely and
100%.
meaningfully so Nick's side of it, where he's 100% correct in this, so it's okay. So, right, it's fine.
Thanks, buddy.
But by the way, I will say that the most impressive thing about
I didn't
both
love
of
it,
you,
but I thought it was a really good rec.
well, and for both of you recommending it, actually, Nick, maybe you not necessarily recommending it. I'm super interested in watching this movie now, probably even more so than I was before knowing anything about it. So I say kudos to that, and those of you out there, find it's on Netflix or
It's on
Prime?
Amazon.
It's on
Prime.
Amazon
You gotta-
Prime.
I had to pay for it. I don't think it's Prime.
Maybe it's not Prime, but it is. I think it's on YouTube. I think if you watch it with
Okay.
ads, you can watch it for free on
What?
YouTube.
Well, and,
Didn't tell me that.
look, and again,
I actually
if you
texted
want
you
to,
that.
if you want to Skype in to our show, we will pay for you to watch Mongo Lake.
Mongo Lake.
Lake
Mongo
Mongo.
does not exist. All right, so
Ararat.
well, thank you very much for that. And now I'm
No,
very
thank you.
excited. I want to get to Ben's choice, which I gave him, which is a movie called Ben,
It's called The Wraith.
The Wraith.
Now, first off, before you say anything, because I'm going to let you introduce the movie. And
No. I want you entirely to take this one, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm very surprised I had never heard of. I mean, much less seen this movie, The Wraith, the 1986 film, The Wraith, starring Charlie fucking Sheen. I mean, how was there an 80s movie that starred Charlie Sheen that I hadn't seen?
And in the height of his like Navy SEALs prime.
Well, Navy SEALs was I think 90, but
Oh, was it?
yeah.
Oh wow, I thought it was earlier.
No, it was way out there. Anyways, well, the thing is, before I get into the movie, I was very just interested about who directed this movie. A guy named Mike Marvin.
Yes.
And he had done Hamburger, the movie, which is a movie that I had seen parts of.
It's the South Park ski episode.
Yes.
That's the movie that they were really riffing on in that.
And you're gonna have a bad
Time.
time.
Yes,
Have a
that is
bad
Hamburger.
time.
How prophetic.
But yeah, Hamburger the movie, and then after the Wraith,
at
I
Matt.
think an extra
He's wiggling with
movie
joy.
or two before it was just a bunch of like C+ exploitative sex films for Cinemax.
That's really generous of you to call them
C+.
C+. They're not.
No,
There are a
okay.
lot of F movies.
Ski school?
No, he aspires to be ski school. Most of his filmography is very,
he aspires
very...
to be Ski Patrol.
It's a very terrible filmography.
And so I was just like, well, because I was just so interested in who could direct something like this.
Well, and I love so we the last episode that everyone has listened to, Ben is about sound design, and Ben tells his tale of one of his heroes in film school, a guy that does sound design. He goes, and I'm really excited, Matt. He has not seen The Wraith yet, because I noticed when I looked up his filmography, one of the movies he worked on is The Wraith.
The only thing I knew is that it was made in 1986. That was the only thing I knew.
And I was just very excited because Ben's like this guy that does impeccable sound
How
design.
did you know that?
Because he had looked
up
looked him up for
I
our
looked
last
up
podcast.
like I look up like 3 different people's sound design, and I saw that The Wraith popped up on there.
Which I like if I could have like directed a better like 180 like red herring for you, I couldn't have done it better on my own, because you're like, oh, well, one of my heroes did the sound design on this 1986 film called The Wraith. I'm sure this is an atmospheric horror-related movie.
Just so you know, that's not exactly what I was saying. I was only excited because that's the first time I ever saw that movie.
By the way, sound design in that movie pretty fucking awesome, actually.
But so that was the first time I'd ever seen the movie anywhere. I just thought it was ironic because I was just like, oh, what is this movie? I was like, I can't click on the movie.
Right, Ben, so tell us the plot of The Wraith.
Okay, so The Wraith starts in I'm assuming, is it Arizona? It's in Arizona.
Tempe.
Yes.
It was shot an hour from where I grew up.
So the film starts with 4 different sources of light, like flying through the desert.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. You missed one part at the very end of the movie.
Oh, thanks.
I'd like to, if I could just cut in.
All right.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I'm done.
I'm about to throw a can.
I'm done. I'm done.
He's getting there. The meter's right here.
So, anyways, these 4 sources of light, they look like shooting stars, are flying all over the place in the desert, and they all meet, and they form a car and a dude.
What the fuck?
And they're backlit. It looks like a fucking Proto-Men video.
Ooh, now you got my attention.
It's like
It is totally a Proto-Men.
it's a Proto-Men video, dude.
Proto-Men.
Exactly. And so it's like this dude in this.
Now I'm ready. I'm going to
Okay,
see
you
it.
know in Back to the Future, when Marty goes back and he's in like the dock suit, like the spaceman suit or whatever, and he crashes into the barn. That it looks like that guy.
Yes.
So you're saying this is a bad movie, and it both evocative of Back to the Future and Proto-Man? I'm in.
Okay. In the first 30 seconds.
God. Okay.
So anyways, so then we're introduced to the actual plot, which is that it's basically this kind of like crappy town in Arizona or whatever, where apparently these criminal serial rapists and road racers can get away with anything that they want to. They just basically, they're like, it's like if you just magically put like Road Warrior into Arizona, but they're actually really police there, and there's all these other people there. So there's a police force.
You're nailing this, by the way.
That's led by Randy Quaid. Who's like,
was the shitter full on this one?
So the main character is played by Nick, the main bad guy, the baddie. It's played by Nick Cassavetes, the son of one of the greatest independent filmmakers of all time, and arguably one of the greatest actresses of all time, and Gina Rowlands.
Yeah, Gina Rowlands and John Cassavetes are his parents. But also, Nick Cassavetes, no slouch, he directed The Notebook. Maybe the most romantic movie of our or any generation.
Nick Cassavetes,
a lot of Nicks in that movie.
Nick
Movie, right?
Cassavetes is not an untalented guy.
Got a great name.
In this movie, however.
His performance is... Have you guys seen Scanners?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know that the lead in Scanners was cast specifically for his eyes and not for his acting ability? This guy is like 19 tiers below. Nick Cassavetes is 19 tiers below the Scanners
So
lead
why
actor.
did they cast him?
I mean, he looks really good with his shirt off, and he's somewhat
prestige?
menacing. Yes.
But I mean, so this guy basically...
Wait. How good with this shirt on?
He has this gang of street racers, and they race people for their cars, and that's the whole thing, is they threaten them to the point where it's like, you're going to race me for your car, and you're going to give me the title for your car after I win.
Yeah.
Just so you know, by the way, his gang is made up of people called, and these are the actual names, Gutter Boy, Skank, Rughead, Augie, Minty, and he, of course, is Packard Walsh.
It's like the dime store
By the way,
outsiders.
have you ever met anyone named Packard Walsh in your life? No. That's because the name is ruined.
Sounds like a computer or a law firm. But anyways, no, so this this terrible group of guys, he basically owns this woman. It's like this like high form of prostitution that he basically owns this woman, and like this girl that works at the local hamburger place, and
Hamburger, the movie.
yes, of course, it had to be a hamburger place because he directed Hamburger, the movie.
Synergy.
Anyway,
My favorite moment ever.
So essentially, he.
Well, careful there.
No, I got it. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that beer's overflowing, buddy.
Nope, it's good.
That's some good head on that one, buddy.
Get that,
look at that head.
Look at that beautiful head. I'll take a picture of that one.
So
anyways, what ends up happening is all of a sudden this rogue car, this futuristic car, starts showing up out of
Dodge
nowhere
Interceptor.
and just starts killing all of these gang members, like in races. running them off the road.
Like that Stephen King.
No,
There's a very Carrie-esque vibe.
very
to it, yes.
Carrie-esque.
Not Carrie,
Yes.
the car that could kill.
So you
Carrie, the car. Oh no,
no, you're right.
Carrie
Christine.
is a girl
Christine.
in Carrie.
Christine.
You look at me with such hatred,
It's
looking down on me
It's
like
obvious where they spent like
Ugh.
all of their budget on the movie, because it's like the race sequences are actually filmed really well. That's the one thing I will say
Good
about the
sound
movie.
design on them.
But they're actually shot really well. I mean, there are some really cool shot stuff. So every single time one of these goons from the gang enters into one of these races, it ends in this like terribly violent crash. I mean, but I'm talking about like not just like the type of thing where like, oh, they run in and they die or whatever, but it's like they fly off a cliff, they run into a tree, the car blows up, they flip 150 times, and then they blow up again at the bottom.
And
I mean,
what
it's
happens?
just-
And what happens to the body?
Like
when
a
that- when
tune-
that-
and the cat-
at
and
the end, so when the coroner comes to collect the body is not charred at all, but their eyes are missing.
Yes, they're burned out of the sockets.
Yes.
Yes.
So, anyways, it becomes abundantly clear at the beginning when Charlie Sheen shows up. So, out of nowhere. Nice introduction shot, by the way, of that long shot of him going over the hills.
I have so much to say about his introduction, but continue.
But anyways, so Charlie Sheen randomly shows up at this time, at the same time that this random car does, and has an interest in this girl that, you know, and then in flashback we learned that this girl had been hooking up with this other guy, and that the leader of this gang had killed the guy. And so after we learned that happened in flashback, and it continually flashes back to it, you start putting it together that like this, you know,
it's
Wraith,
not entirely clear from the beginning, but yes,
yes,
you're right. Yeah.
but well, it's not entirely clear. But
No.
this wraith, this thing that's shown up, is there to enact revenge, to take out all of the members of this gang. You know, ending with Hewlett Packard.
Hewlett, Packard, and Walsh, attorneys at law, Tempe, Arizona.
Anyways, but so ultimately, when I texted Matt while I was watching it, I was just like, oh, of course, at one point where it gets really into like the whole wraith and the whole gang thing, Charlie Sheen disappears for literally 30 minutes of the movie. And I'm just like, I wonder where Charlie Sheen is during all of this. Spoiler alert, it is Charlie Sheen.
Hashtag winning.
In fairness, that wasn't part of the plot. He was just gone on a coke binge, and they had to figure out a way to get around him, so they built it into the plot.
That would be very funny. So ultimately what it is that, you know, the guy who got killed, who was hooking up with this girl, came back to life as Charlie Sheen in this super futuristic car with futuristic weapons and futuristic powers to kill the gang. And ultimately, at the end of the movie, after wiping out the entire gang, gets to give the car to the brother of the guy that died,
Yes.
and then ride away into the sunset with his love on a motorcycle.
Into the moonlight with the girl
moonlight.
on the motorcycle. Yes.
So,
Yes. Brilliant interpolation. I totally appreciate it.
turbulation. That's the only way you can talk about the movie The Wraith.
So, first of all, I'm going to ask you, Ben. This movie came out in 1986. Can you name me the one first thing that Matt remembers about this movie?
boobs.
That's entirely correct. I literally wrote boobs on my notes to see if Ben would say it, but yes, Sherilyn Fenn, who played Audrey in Twin Peaks, has a tasteful topless nudity scene in this movie, and it is spectacular.
As tasteful as a nude scene can be in The Wraith.
I will put it this way: that movie is an hour and a half, and that scene more made up for the hour and a half you had spent through the rest of that movie. I'll just say that much. You can toast me to that later. But
No, I
so
agree.
The Wraith was one of my childhood staples. I watched this on HBO. It was on HBO on a run for a lot during the 80s.
You watched one scene over and
No,
over.
no, no,
again,
no,
then
no.
you got around to the movie.
No, and see, again, there's no DVR, and I wasn't recording these things, so I watched this entire movie waiting for the boobs, and then continued for the rest of it. Now, there are only a couple of things Ben didn't draw attention to that I feel are very.
Some of the expository dialogue.
Oh, so the dialogue.
It's a really nice day out. It's just nice being here with you.
There's some of the worst. All right, my favorite bad dialogue is so. As you describe this movie, if you're looking at it from the girl standpoint, right? So Sherilyn Fenn has lost her boyfriend a year ago. He was killed by this guy who's now decided to take ownership over her. She's walking out of her house at the very beginning of her first scene. She's walking out her side of her house.
If Lynch made this, it might have been a really good movie.
No, actually, David Lynch version of The Wraith would be pretty phenomenal. But she walks out of her house in these amazing white boots and
All
short
right.
skirt. They're just
All right.
fantastic.
Get to the point. Buddy. Come on.
Charlie Sheen drives up in a motorcycle. She does not know Charlie Sheen. She does not know that this is the reincarnation. He goes, hey, do you know the way to the falls? And she goes, it's up that way, wherever. And he goes, and he goes, thanks. She goes, you're new in town? He goes, yeah. She goes, I'm going to hop on the back of your motorcycle. I'll show you how to get there. That is the only dialogue that transpires between them. She's about to get on the bike, and then Packard shows up. She goes,
his racer car.
And then she goes, I gotta go. And he's like, maybe I'll see you around.
Well, actually, the line was, he goes, boyfriend? She goes, what was it's just like scoffs. She's like, no way, or like something along those lines, or like
that. So that is their entire
Grody.
So their entire introduction. She was like, I don't know this gentleman on a motorcycle. I'm gonna get in the back of it right now and go right off with him into wherever.
Yeah.
So then they meet up a second time. They see each other. She's in this ridiculous red bikini. He's shirtless Charlie Sheen. They get in a raft. And they're rafting side by side with one another. They're paddling. It's a really awkward scene.
What the fuck is this movie about?
dude, this movie is.
They're paddling in a
Beth
raft.
hates me now.
No,
I had to watch
they're
this
paddling in a
movie.
raft. They have approximately 45 seconds of dialogue that amounts to almost nothing. The next time they meet up together, he picks her up and they start making out. There is no building of their relationship whatsoever. And then she finds out at the very end, oh, this is my ex-boyfriend who died awfully and never knew what happened to him, but he's been reincarnated. This guy, she goes, well, now I know I was attracted to you. And I'm like, this is the most nonsensical love story I think that's ever existed. And that includes Disney movies and all kinds of other shit. But
Harold and Maude?
And here's the one thing I will say, because I want to get to your movie, and I don't like, you don't have to re-explain everything that I was talking about with the Wraith. You know what? The one thing I walked away from that movie is
They get a bulletproof vest.
you
Shots
walked away
fired.
that Clint
No,
Howard
so
is
Clint
playing
Howard-
a live-action Beavis from Beavis and Butthead
I'm
with
glad
a
that
wig
that's-
that's called Rughead.
I'm glad.
Come on.
I'm glad that that's what you.
That's
came
my
away
favorite
with.
part of that movie is Rughead by Clint Howard.
Second favorite
Is
part.
that no? But I actually did. I watched the movie. And I was just like, it's a terrible movie. It's an awful movie. There's no reason to watch it unless you want to watch it to laugh. And even then, you might find some difficulty unless you have
Sure.
a really funny sense of like a similar.
It's not hard to. It's not hard to really get in. Yeah, I get you. I get you.
Anyways, Charlie Sheen had it. He had that thing
You
because
got the
he
goods.
was delivering the worst dialogue possibly I've ever. I mean, I almost texted Nick just being like, what I'm watching is akin to Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. I mean, it's that level of just brilliance of being
I'm
like,
tired, but I'm also kind of wired.
what do you say? I take you back to your place and
YouTube the rest. YouTube
Yes.
the rest, everyone.
eat your sandwiches. Anyways. But no, I was just like, Charlie Sheen somehow came across just like scot-free. Like, he was just effortlessly delivering these like completely ludicrous expository lines. And then you look at the other side of the thing where it was Nick Cassavetes, who looked like he was either on so many Quaaludes
That's it.
or was just like, I mean, it was like negative
Well, I mean,
acting.
how about Randy Quaid though? Also, just like doing the
Randy
worst.
Quaid was just being Randy
yeah,
Quaid.
Yeah, the worst, the sheriff of all time.
Randy Quaid got a Randy Quaid. You know what I say?
What's also really funny to me, so I read up a lot on the movie because I hadn't seen it probably in 15 years before I gave it to you, and I watched it again like 3 nights ago. And and I was reading a lot of the notes on it, and so Sherilyn Fenn was dating Johnny Depp during that
Yep.
movie. He
Wow.
was on set constantly because he was also up for both Packard and Charlie Sheen's role and didn't get either of them.
Wow.
And so
Hack.
he was just watching Charlie Sheen have
Stewing with jealousy.
effortless chemistry with Sherilyn Fenn, who's not very good in the movie, but when she's with him, she's very clearly interested in Charlie Sheen in that movie. But it is a terrible, terrible 80s movie, Ben. I apologize for subjecting it to you.
Apologize to Beth.
I really apologize to Beth. I mean that
She said a text. She goes, "Our alone time is sacred, and we've chosen to use it to watch the Wraith."
And what I was hoping that she might.
I love it.
But instead,
You two will love it. because Beth is a monster of a hit.
And she monstrously did not like this movie. But no, it's not a movie for most people. But I agree that this is.
I heard Paul Lynde was a ghostwriter on that film.
As you guys talk about your film school, the things that got you into film school, these are the movies I was raised on in Arizona watching HBO over and over
Explains
again.
a lot.
But I've seen The Wraith probably 15 times.
It definitely took a lot of inspiration from The Road Warrior. I think The Road Warrior came out in '84.
The car chases are great. The explosions of
the car chases were shot a lot like the stuff from The Road Warrior.
And one of the things,
all of the characters in the gang were all straight up characters from The Road Warrior.
And they're so over the top and ridiculous.
Everyone's tweaking on drugs and shit.
No, they're not even tweaking on drugs. They're tweaking on hydraulic fluid. The guy is literally chugging hydraulic fluid and be like, "Oh, it's got a big kick."
He's like, "Oh, it's got a big kick." He's like, "It's just gonna melt your brain, man."
But the other thing I love about it is every time there's a car wreck, or the one time when they blow up the entire warehouse, the shot after it is with Randy Quaid and the police squad, and they are engulfed by black, awful smoke. And it's not just like they've got there's an explosion behind it. They're literally wherever they just blew up the thing, they brought the actors in, and there's no masks on or anything. They're just literally just gulping up
breathing in
smoke.
carcinogens.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so the last movie assigned to me was we had a discussion about whether or not this was okay, and I deemed it to be entirely okay, especially after watching this movie. But Nick said Nick was having a hard time coming with something I haven't seen because I've watched a lot of shit.
That's the thing. Like whenever I have to assign a movie to you guys, the rules are the real rules are I love. Or that you cannot have even heard of it,
yeah.
or know anything about it. Do you know what a Hercules? I'd rather slay a fucking Nemean lion.
Now you know
or
why
clean
I
out the
picked
stalls
movies
of
from
Crete.
Australia.
Yeah,
it's very hard. So I did some research and I found something that by the description it seemed like you would really dig it because when I give you a movie, I want you to actually enjoy it. And I haven't seen it, though. I haven't seen it.
I gave Ben the Aliens of L.A. for this podcast was The Wraith. That was my Aliens of L.A. for
But we enjoyed Alien from L.A.
Yes, not because it was a good movie, but because it was ridiculous.
It's a great movie.
Right, so Nick, and I don't say anything because I want the audience to go on this journey with us.
I've gotten the shit into the stick 2 times in a row now. I got Alien in LA and I got The Wraith. Next time, you guys better be coming up with some really highbrow shit.
We had fun with Alien from LA.
Nick, start looking up pre-code movies that you don't think Ben's ever heard of, and we'll find him a really good black and white that he's going to get real hard over.
He's seen all of them.
You know I'm just joking with you, though.
I know.
Listen.
All right.
We enjoyed Alien from LA.
So Nick assigned me. This is all I knew. Nick assigned me a movie called Nina Forever.
It's all I know too.
Oh, and by the way, to talk about whether or not
I've never seen Nina Forever.
So the Wraith is not.
Well,
I
wasn't assigned to you. You would have gotten it.
The Wraith is not a horror movie, even though it is technically about a horror thing.
It could have been a horror premise.
Science fiction.
It's a premise. A guy dies and comes back to life to torment the people that killed him. I mean, it's really it's Freddy Krueger. It's just done. He's the hero instead of the bad guy. But it technically could be a horror movie if you wanted to spin it that way.
You could make if David Lynch made that movie with that script, it would be a horror movie.
I'm just saying.
Maybe Sarah Huckabee Sanders could spin it as a horror movie.
Listen, Clint Howard, Rughead, comes up with the name Wraith during the middle of the movie saying, it's the ex-boyfriend! He's coming back to life to torment us all!
He's a Wraith!
I read, by the way, the funniest review of The Wraith of all the ones I read, and it goes... I found the movie entirely believable, other than the point where the completely whacked out cokehead determines that this guy is a wraith and also knows what the wraith means in definition terms. He's heard of this word before, wraith, before this movie.
All right, moving on from the wraith.
Nina Forever was a movie Nick gave me. So this is and I've written this down because I want you to go on the journey with me. I knew nothing about this movie.
Biopic of Nina Simone.
So we meet Holly. She's a supermarket clerk who's studying to be a paramedic, and she works with Rob. And the movie opens on this motorcycle accident. We're on like a dark road. We see nothing. It's a static shot. A motorcycle crashes into the screen. We don't know what it's about, and then we flash into the actual movie. We meet Holly, and she's talking with her coworkers, and they're talking about this guy they work with named Rob, who we found out is the guy that had the motorcycle accident. His girlfriend has died in a car crash, and he tries to kill himself on his motorcycle, but he survives. And Holly's instantly attracted to this, saying actually the words, "Imagine being fucked by someone like that." There's someone so intense that he would try to kill himself over the death of his ex-girlfriend. So her coworkers are like suing. By the way, I could not get past how much Holly was such a Nick special in this movie, but it really was just like, I got to get these two
Nick,
together.
now you gotta
at
watch
some
the
point.
movie.
Oh,
That's
I
right.
am going to watch it, yeah.
So Holly decides they have kind of a meet cute at the supermarket. He's now working there. He's very obviously qualified for more, but he's like just so broken. He's just now can't stocking shelves at the supermarket, and he's all kind of messed up from his accent. So she wants to get in. The coworkers deduce that she only wants to do it because she's part of her studying to be a paramedic is she wants to save everyone she comes into contact. She wants to be the one that can save anyone. All right. So
Good world building.
Meanwhile, we also meet Holly is currently dating some guy, but he breaks up with her, and he breaks up with her specifically because he feels he's too dark for her and she's too vanilla, and it pisses her off. She goes, "You don't fucking know me at all." And he goes, "Well, I just think you're too vanilla. I'm too dark for you." And she gets really pissed off by this. So she and Rob now decide to go out on a date. And this is where the movie is kind of interesting because it starts telling things. It's not like Pulp Fiction where things are told out of order, but in a sequence out of order. You start to see scenes that haven't happened yet on the same day. So you see like the effect, and then you instantly go back into the cause as if it's all one thing. It's actually a really, it's very confusing at first. Once you realize what they're doing, it's a really interesting way to like, she's in like paramedics class, and we start seeing the end of the date that she's going to have in a few minutes. But we're doing her consequentially, but also watching kind of in backwards the end of the date. It's a really trippy way to kind of like, you know something's coming, but you don't know exactly what, because you're only getting snippets of the effect. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
The only thing I can think of that does something similar to that is Run Lola Run, but you're always flashing to the alternate realities.
No. In this, you're 100, and that's what's really
reality.
interesting. And you don't know if you're going very far into the future, if you're going very narrow, and it's always very narrow. It winds up being, but it's a really unsettling thing, right? So you start to feel something's going on, but everything so far is still kind of being played as romantic, a romantic movie. So she and this guy go out. They start bonding over a few things. So we finally get to the night where it's very clear they're gonna officially hook up for this night. And there's like this, this preamble of them like they're flirting, and all of a sudden they start kissing passionately. There's a wine glass drop that smashes on the floor, and like she steps in it and she like cuts her foot, but he carries her to the bed, and they get in the bed together and they start making love, right? And it's dark and it's passionate, and there's like blood droplets on the sheet.
Show you vanilla.
From the you're assuming from her cutting her foot on the glass, right? But then the blood droplets start growing and growing and growing, getting bigger, and they become pools of blood on the bed, and they're still like going at it hardcore. So I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. First of all, I'm like, those sheets are ruined. I don't know. My OCD
those
just
were
starts like
Egyptian
kicking in. I'm like, oh my god, I would just be mortified if this was happening. And then arms start coming out of the blood pools on the side of them, and they wrap around both of them as they're making love on the bed. And I'm like, whoa, fucking A, I have no idea what is going on, which is why this may be my favorite cold reading so far. And I'm like, yes, the fuck is going on? And she's like clawing this guy's back, and now you see the tattoo on the guy's back that says Nina Forever. And you're like, and you go,
They said the title.
The ex-girlfriend's name is Nina. So Nina, the man's ex-girlfriend who was killed in this car wreck, in her car wreck mangled form, naked, climbs out of the bed while they're fucking and winds up next to... First she starts like grabbing them, and the girl's like, oh, why you grab my feet, and the guy's like, I'm not touching you. And by the way, it's a very British movie. He's like, I'm not touching your feet, love. And she's like, and Nina now appears in her full, she's very like Corpse Bride Sally, Nightmare Before Christmas kind of like goth thing, but she's covered in blood and completely butt ass naked, like super hot, mangled naked chick.
Did this awaken anything in you?
Let's get there in a second. So, and she talks with this like super
Spoiler alert,
like super British baby voice, like, "Hello, Eric, how's it going?" Like this very like kind of like baby doll kind of thing.
I gotta see this movie.
Everyone starts, of course, appropriately freaking out that the ex-girlfriend has shown up, and they finally they wind up falling back asleep. Now she's disappeared in the morning, but the sheets are fucking still soaked. The room's wrecked from this thing.
Wait, hold on. Let's not gloss.
No.
How does that scene happen where they're just like, oh, we're freaked out that you're here. We're going to sleep.
Yes. So let me explain how the movie handles all of this, because there's a this is where the movie stretches the most, but I kind of like it because the entire movie could have been about their reaction to the phenomenon, and it's not the phenomenon, it's more the reaction to what this means for them as a whole. So the first time it happens, they're freaked out, they know what to do. The girl leaves, the guy winds up staying in the apartment, and he wakes up in the morning and the ex-girlfriend's gone, right? So now they're like, what the fuck was it? But all the remnants of everything is still there. The sheets and the mattress is soaked through with blood. He has to I love this fucking single poor guy in Britain. He just turns the mattress over, but he gets rid of the sheets and buys new sheets. I thought was fantastic.
Nice.
And so then they decide like, okay, they're gonna try this again. And now we find out it's every time they have sex, Nina appears. So
traditional sex or alternative sex?
Any sex that they can get, any sex whatsoever, okay. Nina will appear, right?
I just want to get the rules right in this world.
Well, so the rules are kind of interesting. So the rules are
what if it's just oral?
Oh yeah. Anything that we're there, if they are being intimate in any way,
but they can kiss though. What if they're kissing alone?
They can kiss.
Does Nina show up when they're heavy petting?
Yeah, actually,
yes?
she's ready. If somebody's getting horned up and things are about to happen, Nina's going to show up, right?
All right.
Nina's like the erection. She just shows up when the erection happens. So whenever it gets him going, Nina's going to be going too. So
if the nethers tingle, Nina
that's right. So
Nina mingles,
yeah.
So what's interesting about it is, so when she shows up the second time, they very much say, okay, in the rules of the movie, they say, okay, we understand this is what is happening, and they accept it very quickly, and I kind of like that, because there's no other way for the movie to follow the plot that they want to do other than these people have to get over the fact that this is happening, but have to determine how they want to stop it or how they want to control it from happening. And or
if they just want to get Nina in on the action.
Well, that's very interesting you bring that up, because that's the first thing Holly decides to do. The third time Nina appears, Holly goes, fuck it, we're going to lean into it.
Wow.
So she starts trying to get it on with Nina and bringing Nina in on the action and being like, you know what, if you're going to fucking haunt us as the ex-girlfriend, fuck this, we're going to make it good. So she brings Nina in on action, and Nina's like, you're not going to enjoy this, but fine. Nina reluctantly goes. She talks the entire time. She's super acerbic. She's very British, dry wit, but she talks in this very baby girl kind of like British voice, kind of like sarcastic and condescending the entire time. All right, you can try, but it's not going to work. And I'm like, no, this is working entirely for me, 100%. Continue. So they try that, it doesn't work, and so
how many tubs of Vaseline did you go through while you were watching this?
So I was watching this movie when my ankle was sprained, so I was really involved in this movie for a long time. But so what I like, so what it turns out this movie is, the best I could describe it is Hereditary meets It Follows, because what you start to realize is what is the metaphor going on in this movie. And there's another side of it that a lot of people I read in the reviews did not like, but I kind of appreciate it, is that the boyfriend also has this relationship with Nina's parents, and he goes to their house every week for dinner, and the dad is always like talking to him about this book he's writing, and the mom has this very uncomfortable, like, almost flirty relationship with it, but you realize it's because it's like she's doing this to kind of keep the daughter's memory alive for her.
Sure.
And so the movie 100% is about loss. It's about, and they do the parent side, which is kind of tied into it, but it's mostly the baggage you bring into a relationship from your ex, right? And in this form, it manifests physically
right,
as this thing, and I'm gonna sort of ruin where this movie goes. So if you guys do want to watch this movie, this is now the time to tune out of the podcast if you want to watch Nina Forever. But the resolution is kind of fascinating, because what happens is that Holly and Rob, as they're dating, Holly starts trying to figure out ways to get Nina to go away, and the ways to get Nina to go away are to fix Rob. to fix Rob from this heartache that he's feeling with this girl. So she starts reforming his life and reforming their household, and they're constantly having sex and buying new sheets and putting them over the bed, and it's all of these things to like everything she can do to cover up Rob's baggage, to hide Rob's baggage, to make it go away, until it becomes the point at which the baggage no longer affects Rob, but it is only haunting Holly. Ooh. And the two of them wind up breaking up, and Holly tries to like mess around with this guy that's really interested in her, and now Nina shows up there, and that's why I say It Follows meets Hereditary. She inherits the baggage, and he's fine. He doesn't see Nina anymore, and he's now been cleaned up and fixed and put on. God. And there's this there's a great shot that ends the movie, because at the beginning of the movie, when she's flirting with Rob, she like sends him a text message at night, like, I wish I'd kissed you, like off their first date. And then he texts her back, and he says, I wish I had kissed you. And she has it on the text on her pillow, the phone lit up, and she just falls asleep staring at the text on her pillow. And at the end of the movie, he talks about how he's fixed, and she talks about how she's still tormented. And it's the same shot of the phone on her pillow with Nina's blood all over the bedspread, because it's just like manifested in the house, including when she masturbates, which was a real dark kind of like, oh wow, they're really going there with it.
Wow.
But
interesting.
But I found it a highly effective, great metaphor. The metaphor is not perfect at all, but I love that they include the parents and how they're dealing with the loss as kind of like this B plot. But this idea, the fact that you sleep with someone new and you're carrying the baggage so much that it haunts you during that moment. I found it great. And as far as cold reading goes, it was one of the best shot. Like, I felt there was something horror coming, but I'm like, oh, so this guy's ex-girlfriend's going to haunt him. That's what I'm thinking. I did not expect she was going to literally come out of bloody pools in the bed and haunt them while they have sex.
The rules were to pick a horror film for each other. Why were you surprised?
We said maybe we do it as a horror bent, but I didn't know if 100%.
I'm joking because we all agreed on horror.
But no, I dug the hell out of the movie.
Cool.
It was a very mixed reaction from the movie. It was
cool.
Partially Kickstarter funded. And when I played like Fright Fest, and was like kind of a hit at Fright Fest in 2015, came out in 2016. But when I read
the synopsis, I thought you would really dig it. But
I
didn't know how they were going to handle it.
It is a great rent, I think, if you can you go out there and find it. Awesome. It's super fun to watch. It's very quick. There's a good side note during the last, like, there's a real gross part at the end where she's really trying to get rid of Nina, which was like breaking her arm. And I found out that while they were filming the scene, the actress had the flu and was puking constantly between takes, which I thought was like amazing to watch that scene and realize this girl's like fucking doing the shit. But Nina Forever, fucking awesome movie.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
So, good to know.
I want to do another one of these again, probably real close to the new year.
Yeah, we'll do it in the new year.
But I fucking love this as far as getting to see new movies that I don't know about and stuff. I think it's a great time, and hopefully you guys out there find something interesting or new. I mean, you can go out and watch The Wraith right now and thank me later, or I'll send you the Blu-ray if you want it. I got it. I gave it to Ben Wilson.
It's actually just a DVD. It's not Blu-ray.
Oh, it's not Blu-ray. Oh, shit.
Woof.
Well, I will say I actually already bought a Blu-ray copy of the next movie I'm going to assign to whoever I get next. I guess I get Nick next time. So, you're going to like this one. It's a goodie.
I get you again, Benny.
I get Matt next time. I'm not going to be kind.
Hey, Matt, have you heard of Ishtar?
I enjoyed your first movie that you assigned. I enjoyed this movie. I will find something to like in just about any movie that you assign to me. It's fine.
Challenge accepted.
Sounds like a challenge.
Anyway, we thank you.
Dem's fighting words.
Thank you so much for listening to the New Way podcast. All of our new fans out there, don't forget to contact us if you want a civil society gift package and say that you want to Skype into an episode. We will bring you in for anything you want to, anything under the world you want to discuss, or if you guys really want bonus points, we can have you Skype in during our holiday extravaganza, which is going to be a star-studded affair.
Just send us your audition tape to prove that you have on-air chemistry with the host.
I need 60 seconds on why Avatar is one of the worst things to happen to movies ever, and if you can nail that, we'll bring you on the podcast, no problem.
Oh, wow.
The Last Airbender or the one that James?
No,
Cameron
James Cameron. You see, by the way, the titles of his new ones. He's been like trademarking a lot of things. One of them was like the seeds of Avatar, and like all of the titles sound like bad romance novels. Like it sounds so terrible. I can't wait to shit on those movies.
They could paint up Fabio in blue.
It's still gonna be so bad. But thank you so much for listening to the New Way podcast. We will be back again. We have lots of episodes coming up over the next year, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks to the end of the year. Probably about 6 more episodes. So keep tuning in. We hope you enjoy what you listen to, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, thanks.
Give Scott one more shout out.
Shout out to Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson's a gentleman, a scholar, and there's damn few of us left.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, Scott. Congrats on that Georgia win yesterday.